Okay, so we've got Emma with us today from Malta, and we have the great pleasure of having her with us because we're going to discuss marine conservation. It's something that Emma's very passionate about and working very hard to achieve. So now, Emma is working at Grand Harbour Marina in Malta. She used to be working on board yachts, and now she's transitioned to land, where she's face-to-face dealing with crew and organising events and PR for the marina. And something in particular that she does is events like beach cleanups and other events for crew during the week. So I welcome you, Emma. Today we're very excited to talk with you because the crew coach is so passionate about the ocean, sustainability, conservation. So yeah, welcome.
Hey, Corinne, thanks for having me.
So to start off with, if we could find out a little about your yachting history and why pollution has become something that you're so passionate about in terms of marine conservation and sustainability and making our oceans a lot cleaner.
So basically, I started in yachting about 6-7 years ago. I left Malta, Australia. And marine conservation there is ahead of the game. So the minute I got there, I started working for a company, a sailing company, and straight away it's integrated into the system of the crew and the dock there, that even when they have guests on board and they are cruising, to constantly reiterate the importance of marine conservation and the fact that we get to do what we do because of the sustainability of the oceans. So basically there's a correlation between the two I've found, and basically coming back to med, slowly we're getting there, but I'm hoping to try and push this idea forward that the yachting industry and marine conservation, eco-friendly products, etc., just have to go hand in hand. Simple.
Okay.
So since then, from sailboats to motor yachts, big change. Sometimes it's harder to implement this on a motor yacht, but yeah, baby steps. I'm seeing the change already happening, which is good.
Okay, so maybe you can tell me a little bit more about the change that's happening and why is it a challenge for you to get motor yachts to change their culture on board?
So sometimes when you join a boat, for example, they're quite set in the ways, have kind of a system which they find works, and sometimes a little bit harder to implement changes on board. So for example, trying to use eco-friendly garbage bags, for example, or to step away from cleaning products that aren't so sustainable, for example. When it comes to buying toiletries for a crew, they want, for example, a specific brand, and you want to try and shy away from that and switch to, for example, soap bars and not containers with, soap and stuff like that. So sometimes it was hard to kind of push certain ideas forward. But I try and urge people that are in like heads of department to just try, like, change is hard until it becomes norm, and then it's just adapted. So if you just keep enforcing or implementing something, you can make a difference. And then sure enough, like 1 week goes by, they complain a little, 2 weeks go by, and you still buy the better products, and then it just becomes the norm, and they realize it works. And a great thing that happened on the boat I was working on last year, we completely eliminated plastic bottles for all crew and guests. So they did a whole refit of the water system of the boat, and every crew member was given their own titanium water bottle, color-coded, with their to refill their bottles instead of, going through I don't know how many plastic bottles per day, and as well as guests. And that was coming from the captain, which was, his word is sound. So that's fantastic. When the captains are on board, even better.
Yeah, and it's amazing that they achieved that, and how fantastic that a head of department individual could champion that change, because I think that's going to influence other yachts who are looking to see what they can do about marine conservation and doing their bit to save on plastic. What water filtration did you use on the yacht?
So basically, the pipes which for the water maker were completely cleaned out. It was a process which had obviously the engineers involved. I don't quite know the system which was used, but they spent a lot of the off season getting this ready. They were running water through it, the pH of the water to make sure it's like in pristine condition for crew. I have to say going to fill water bottle instead of, just grabbing one from the fridge straight away. But time passes and it becomes, that was something which was a big change, because all of a sudden, not only was it better for the environment as a whole, but saved on time management. So it's like these little steps like that, which if you influence one crew member on a boat, maybe they hop on another boat and they run the idea past their boat. And it's a chain reaction. And that's the good thing with yachting and crew is we're actually a small community. And when one boat makes a change or a difference, it filters very quickly.
Yeah.
And it will reach there. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to push forward now that I've gone land-based.
That's great. So if you could help those stewardesses already on board and who are looking to change products or use more sustainable products, from toiletries to guest products, as well as cleaning products, what could you recommend?
First things first, cleaning products as such is not just bad for environment, it's ourselves as well, and also the materials we're working with. So what we try and do is completely get rid of anything that's too harsh in chemical wise and go completely eco-friendly. So there are many companies there that do this, but sometimes obviously it's just a little expensive. So you do your research, break it down and buy in bulk. And then if you do your research from beforehand, then the management companies and the captains completely be on board with it. But it kind of needs a little bit of research before. Also, for example, instead of using a million cleaning products for a few things, one, not the products themselves, but the bottles, etc., use white vinegar, because it's a multi-purpose spray. It can be used on different surfaces. If you don't particularly like the smell of it, just drop a little like lavender oil or something like that to make it smell a bit better. And you can use that.
Yeah.
Also, with regards to toiletries, toilet paper, napkin, eco-friendly paper, which you can use on board. Just need to do a little bit of research, like I said, but there's more and more companies that are helping out. And with regards to guests themselves, go, for example, no plastic straws, only have bamboo straws on board. The guests will love that, even though sometimes you may be apprehensive to do something like that. Guests love it. I mean, sustainability and marine pollution, etc., is a issue now. So guests wouldn't really get taken aback. They might even appreciate that crew are going through the effort to implement such things on board. So this can go for crew as well, cleaning products, guests, etc. And I found that it works. I've used this a couple of times. Guests are more than happy to comply. It's almost like a fun thing for them as well. You can get the bamboo straw if you want to kind of take it a step further and make it like part of their experience on board. So we've done that as well. Also, I was speaking to a captain the other day of quite a large boat, and what he said was he goes stand-up paddleboarding quite often, and as he's going around the bays or the harbor or something, he collects any floating debris that he finds, and this is coming from captains of big boats as well. So I thought that's key. That's kind of what we're trying to do, is chat to captains like this, pass on these kind of ideas to other captains or crew, and create a kind of culture with crew.
100%. And I think with crew culture, looking from a leadership perspective, crew engagement and creating harmonious teams, I think we need to be innovative and look at different ways in which we can do team building. And I think the beach cleanups that you're doing and all that is a great way to get teams doing something together, besides going out and drinking and eating at crew dinners and things. But, looking at initiatives like that, I think it's fantastic for team development.
Exactly. In fact, just last Saturday, there was a microplastic beach cleanup, which took place on the island in Malta, and some crew from the marina gathered together and headed up there. And they, one, found out about the damages of microplastic, two, got to know how they could help, and yeah, they'll pass on that information to other crew in their own boats, on the dock. So it's little stuff like that. Like even as a marina, we've done a few cleanup campaigns down on the marina itself. So throughout the summer, we kind of joined forces with not just the crew or captains, but even boat owners, locals of the area. And we did cleanups along the foreshore of the marina, as well as skimming the surface of the harbor for floating debris. Some crew grabbed their gear, their dive gear that they had on board, and just jumped in and was collecting stuff found at the bottom of the quay. So it was an effort which grabbed, it's just amazing. Like we have the crew on board have the resources, and they're more than, if it's organized, then they're more than happy to jump on in and lend a helping hand. And the real things we found were, among plastic bags, was also cigarette butts. So a big issue that we're finding. It's horrible. And so those were the two major things that we found when we were sifting through, obviously, what we were collecting. But it was so great to see all these yachting, so not just the marina, but the crew as well, boat owners, just all getting together for something like this. So we're keeping up the initiatives because we are seeing them.
And I think it also empowers crew. So I used to work in the industry many years ago, and when I was working in the industry, I felt a bit empty inside. Like, I know it's great to serve other people and be part of a team, but it's about the amount of wastage that happens on board. And I just go, oh my God, that could have fed so many children, or, you know, someone could have done something with that. And it just breaks your heart. And if you look at, from a psychological perspective, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, there's self-actualization at the top, and we're all striving to find purpose and meaning in our lives. And I think having that and being able to be given an opportunity where captains and heads of departments can allow their crew on a Saturday morning, or give them that extra time as a way in which they can contribute and make a positive impact, I think it's really worthwhile doing.
Yeah, exactly. It's something where we can all influence each other. So, for example, from a marina side, with all these boats coming in, we can pass a message on to them. And even if we just change the mentality of one boat, we've done something. And then they pass it on to friends of theirs, etc. I mean, I know we're not the only marina that's doing this. I've seen numerous cleanups being done in Barcelona and Palma as well. So we know that it's a unanimous decision between the industry. And then you see some initiatives coming from certain boats. For example, with regards to the Sea Bin project, this is something us as a marina have taken on board as well. And it's so good to see boats like Invictus, which we've mentioned, attaching the Sea Bin to their transom in any marina they go in. So that is what we're talking about. Like, as a community, when this happens, everyone is talking about it, not just in the yachting industry, in general. Because sometimes yachting can be seen as kind of a superficial industry from an outsider who doesn't understand. And it's good to change that conception that, fine, we might be working on vessels like this, but the people working on them and the people working at the marinas are all conscious and aware about marine conservation. And just that one thing there, that what they did, will filter through. Maybe it will even promote the idea to the marinas they go into. Like, oh, I never thought about the Sea Bin before. Maybe we should get one. So they're making an impact dramatically. And that's what crew need to understand, that our voice is heard, like throughout not just our industry, but it makes an effect. Because at the end of the day, as crew, we spend a lot of our time at sea. So we get first-hand look at what the impact does. Like, a lot of people, and there's a lot of activists on shore that are promoting the idea, but sometimes we spend weeks at sea not seeing land, and the only remnants of what the human can do to this cause is, like, we see a plastic bag here, a dolphin there, a bottle, a turtle, and it's just, it's horrendous to see. It really is, because
tell me a little bit more about what you've seen, the damage that the plastic has done on the animal life, the ocean life, because you mentioned when we previously had spoken about you seeing turtles and dolphins and impacted by the pollution.
No, definitely. So it's not the first time that we've been, for example, on a crossing, and you see turtles caught up in, plastic bags or rings of cans, for example, and you're there trying to enjoy it. Like when we, for example, if we see a dolphin on the bow or a whale, for example, we call every department to run up and have a look. All departments get that feeling of, oh my God, so we appreciate this so much to then get up there, for example, and we get a closer look and we're just seeing it struggling for dear life because it's caught up in something that's obviously man-made. And that sinking feeling you get, you almost feel responsible, like it's your fault almost as human, you know what I mean? And so because we're out there and we're actually witnessing it firsthand, we are the ones feeling responsible for it. You know what I mean? Because we are physically seeing what is being done, and we would be miles from ocean. Like sometimes we'll be even 6 nautical miles to shore, like we're coming in, we can already start seeing what's coming through, and we're getting closer and closer to land. And as you get closer to the shore, it's scary almost. Definitely, when you see it for yourself, you know what I mean? So we almost feel, I think, as crew responsible for what's happening. And I think the fact that we get to go to certain really remote areas as well in the world, it's almost like our duty to spread awareness to the guests that we have on board, to other crew members that might be in the area, because it's a privilege to be able to get to see these things and go to certain areas, that it kind of should be linked. Without question, we should work hand in hand with the idea of marine conservation, 100%.
Yeah. And Superyacht Black Pearl, can you tell me what they've been doing on board?
Yep, so as a boat itself, it's like ahead of its game to make it more eco-friendly. Now, this is something which I've read, obviously, is a passion as well with the owner himself. Again, I've read that it can go, do 18 knots and use very little fossil fuels, and can almost do, a crossing from the Med to the Caribbean without virtually switching on the engine. I don't quite understand the dynamics of the boat itself, but I'm sure this will be revealed at some stage. But it's things like this, which now are not only just the crew and, the marina, but now we're talking about owner, we're talking about boat building companies trying to make a difference slowly. So the effort of one boat, and then they will filtrate the system. So I think this is very, very important.
Agreed.
Even see themselves.
Yeah, and I was also going to ask you about what Grand Harbour Marina in Malta is doing, and then the projects that you have achieved and initiated.
Yeah, so just recently, I think it was this summer, the sea-beam was introduced to the island. And it was obviously something that we were instantly wanting to get on board with. Since then, we've installed the second one for the island, and that was about a month ago. And I've just touched base with the organization which are bringing them in, and since then another 5 have been installed around the island. Now, Malta is a very small island, and to already have about 7 is already quite a big deal. And it wasn't just an effort from the marina, it was from organizations around the harbor as well. It's something that we're very passionate about, but we need to push this idea also onto locals and other people enjoying the marina and being out at sea and etc. And as an island as such, 15 minutes from even the center of the island, we can get to the sea. Thankfully, we're an island that does so many cleanup initiatives and campaigns, just like I said last Saturday. And it's so good to see these things. And obviously having yacht crew who aren't Maltese but still feel the need to help out and be there will hopefully influence the locals as well. So everything correlates. So that's what we're trying to achieve here.
So how can crew find out about the projects and the beach cleanups that you're doing?
So what we have is in a marina. So my role here, well, one of them is crew relations. So I'm in touch with crew of all the boats that come in and leave as well. Some are resident crew, some are just stopping in for a few months. Group which there's at least a couple of reps of every boat. And every week, kind of, I send it through what's being done this week, not just on the marina, but on the island itself. We have Facebook pages as well for Malta Yacht Crew and just Grand Harbour Marina in general, as well as, you know, the Instagram pages, etc. And so we're always promoting not only initiatives we're doing, but island initiatives as well. And what we're saying is we're trying to create like a crew culture whereby everyone is on the same page with this. Because even if as a crew maybe you're not too interested even, maybe if you see other crew getting involved, you kind of feel like, hey, maybe I should. And then you try and you help out. And then that reward that we're saying that you feel, and then you infiltrate it throughout, you know, your other crew members as such. But it needs to come from all aspects of crew. As green stews, don't feel shy or intimidated to bring up these things with your heads of department. And as heads, talk to your crew about it. Or if you come into a port, pop down into the marina, chat to them, see if they want to do a cleanup campaign. We're all in this together, kind of. It's not just like crew versus marina or boat versus boat. Like, we're all one kind of culture. So that's what we're trying to achieve.
Amazing. So firstly, I want to thank you for all the hard work that you put into this and the incredible projects that you're championing. I can feel your passion, like literally. I was like, oh, should I say this? But I'm just going to say it. My heart is like just wide open talking to you. Like, it's just like flooding with love. And I'm like, oh,
so passionate about this.
So good.
Good talking.
But it's just beautiful what you're doing, what you're trying to achieve, and you can see the magic is already starting to happen due to your hard work and championing these projects. If you had to think about the Grand Division, what are your hopes for the future?
So what I'm hoping is that we have an all-round culture within the yachting industry that is 100% on board with that. We are being encouraged not just as crew, but from our owners or the charter guests that come on board, from the companies that are building the boats, brokers, anything, just as a yachting industry as a whole, that we are working together in this, in promoting kind of sustainability in yachting and marine conservation.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Emma. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Corinne. Because we share similar passions, it seems. So it's always good to have a quick chat up about what's really important. And that's definitely 100% marine conservation.
Thank you.